evening, everyone, and welcome to the Beginning Investors Group Online. My name is Dustin Griffin. I'm your host tonight. I'm glad you are all here. Thank you so much for joining us. For those of you that are here for the first time, can you please say so via the GoToWebinar interface? If you take a look at the GoToWebinar interface, you'll see a questions little toggle. You can toggle that down and say hello. Looks like at least 3 or 4 of you, 5, 6, 7, 8, bunch of you coming in. Phil, Adam, Jenny, Dotato, Quincy, Morgan, Tasha, Stephen, Booker, Kevin, Angelique, Quante, Fred, Ken, Brunis, Trip, Lindy. Wow, bunch of you guys. Sam Sanders, hey, what's up? Walter Bartholomew, good to see you online, my friend. Well, good evening, everybody out there tonight. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This is the first Beginning Investors Group of the new year. The Beginning Investors Group is an online educational meeting. This is designed for beginning investors, but a lot of seasoned investors like to tune into our show as well, because we always have seasoned investors doing the training. So again, our goal is to help you get your first deal or your next deal through some good, solid information that we provide on these webinars. We do it every month on the 4th Wednesday of the month from 7 to 9. That schedule may be changing here in the very near future. If it does, I will let you know. And also to let you know that we are broadcasting live to our Atlanta RIA group, our Tampa RIA group, our Charlotte RIA group, our Savannah RIA group, and our Chattanooga RIA group, and anybody else out there in the country or around the globe that may be tuning in tonight. And by the way, if you are tuning in from somewhere a long way away from us, please let us know via the GoToWebinar interface. I'm always curious where some of the people are attending from. We've had people in China, Philippines, Germany, especially when a lot of our friends are stationed overseas who are in the active military. So we're glad that we can continue to talk to them and educate them while they're away. So thanks again, everybody, for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. Tonight's webinar, how to buy real estate for pennies on the dollar with tax sales, tax liens, tax deeds, and tax certificates. If you are a new investor, you've probably heard about some of these things, but probably don't know where to start or how to get involved or even what it's all about. And even if you're a seasoned investor, you still may not have a clue about all these things or understand it completely. So I'm really excited to have my good friend Tom D'Agostino on the line tonight. Tom, you there?
Hey, I'm here. Thank you. And we are good friends, actually.
Yeah. Known Tom for about, what, 5, 6 years now, at least?
Yeah, at least 6. Yeah,
at least. Because we started this group about, what, 7, going on 8 years ago, the Atlanta group?
Yeah, I think the first time we spoke, I think it was in 2010, November.
And we started in the summer of 2010.
Okay.
So yeah, this summer will be 8 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, it's a long time. I tell you.
So Tom
is off the market.
Yeah. Tom's always been a bit of a ladies' man, and he is off the market now. He just got engaged. He just spoke for us earlier this month in Atlanta and did a full-day workshop with us this month, which was very, very well attended. Had like 70 people there. Tom always does a great job. If you ever get the chance to see him live, I highly encourage you to come see him. Tonight is a webinar, and he can't always be as funny and as dynamic and as energetic and as interactive with the crowd as he can on in person. So if you get the chance to see him here in the next few months, he's going to be attending Chattanooga RIA and Savannah RIA, I believe, in March.
Yes.
I believe in March. I'm trying to get him on the Tampa schedule as well as the Charlotte schedule.
And I love Tampa. I tell you, I get to visit my sick aunt down there.
Yeah, I remember the last time you were down there, we went over to Whiskey Joe's and had a few drinks out on their little
On the
pier.
veranda, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember that clearly. I don't remember who we were with, but I know it was you and I.
yeah,
Anyway,
and two good-looking ladies.
I don't remember
I know you don't, but I do.
that.
But Tom is an expert on all things related to tax sales. He's been doing it for years, and he is still an active, full-time investor. He buys tax deeds, tax certificates, all these things he's getting ready to talk about in multiple states regularly. In fact, when he was in Atlanta, he had a huge stack that he'd bought over the last calendar year. And
Yeah.
it's like a big stack of deeds. I don't know that he's going to be able to show you that tonight. He may have it in the slides. I don't know. But again, if you get the chance to come see him live, please come check him out. And at one of our groups coming up soon, or any of the groups that have him around the country, because I think you'll really enjoy it. You're going to get about an hour and a half of him tonight and get to ask your questions, and he'll answer them throughout the call or at the end, whichever he chooses. And he'll also tell you about a 3-day tax sale training he has coming up here real soon. He does them throughout the year, but he's got one coming up pretty quick.
Yeah.
But again, you will get a chance to see him at our groups in the next few months. So check him out when you get the chance. So on this next screen, I want to remind everybody that if you have any questions about anything he says throughout the entire presentation, please send them in via the GoToWebinar interface. I won't necessarily stop him and interrupt him and ask your question, but I'll hold them and ask them to him when he's ready for them. That way we can let him get through his presentation and then take questions whenever he's ready. And we do always do our best to get them all answered. This is typically an hour and a half webinar. Sometimes we easily go 2 hours, depending on how many questions you have. Sound good?
Sounds great. Let's
All
rock.
right. Well, Tom, I'm going to turn the screen over to you. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I should be seen now.
Again, if you guys have any questions, please send them in via the GoToWebinar interface. Thanks again for being here, Tom, man. I really appreciate it. If you need anything, just let me know. I'm going to mute my mic.
Okay, perfect. Okay, folks. I usually run around, so what's going to happen is you might hear me banging into stuff because I just run around a place. So here's what we're going to do. What we're going to talk about today is the tax sale business. How to buy property for pennies on a dollar. That's the bottom line. Now, a couple of years back, I was asked to write a chapter in a book with Jack Canfield, the guy who wrote the Chicken Soup of the Soul series. And they said, come up with something, the strongest person or a seminal event in my life in the military. And I couldn't come up with anything that was as strong and as powerful as my daughter. I have 4 laws. The very first law I have is the law of cause and effect. Everything you do well, everything you do not well, and everything you fail to do has a consequence. That's the first law. The second law is the law of striving. You have to earn your keep. You got to get up. You got to go to work. You got to do what you need to do every day. The third law is the law of harmony. You have to work well with your loved ones. You have to work well in business. You have to be truthful. And it is an oasis. If you tell people what you're going to do and then you do it, life is easy. And there's the fourth law. And this is the toughest law. It's the law of love. And what love starts with is you. Each and every one of these laws put you in charge. It's all about you. You succeed or you fail. And everything around you has a consequence, but it all wraps around you, these 4 laws. Now, the law of love is loving yourself. And what we all do is we lie to ourselves. It takes courage. It takes humility. It takes integrity to tell yourself the truth. And until we're able to do that, quite frankly, you'll never tell anybody else the truth. And let's face it, we all want to work with people that have integrity. So those are the 4 laws, and how they relate to Megan. Well, here's a picture of Megan in 1996 at a father-daughter dance, and you can see that huge smile on her face. And here's a picture of Megan a few years later, graduating college. Again, it's that same huge smile. And here's a picture of her now at 29 years old. And you can see a sign in front of her, "My strength is my story. I am resilient." Now, what happens is Megan is an epileptic. She has cerebral palsy. She's an asthmatic. She graduated college. She has a full-time job. And what happened was, when we took her home and we found out she had cerebral palsy, they told us she'd probably never get on and off a school bus. And they told us that she was probably learning disabled. And at the end of the day, we went home and loved that child. She never got the memo that she was handicapped and she wasn't supposed to walk. And she never got the memo that she was learning disabled and she was never supposed to go to college or hold a full-time, high-caliber position. Each and every one of us has something in our lives that gets in the way. And what I want to say on this webinar right now, the 4 laws are the 4 laws that I live by and I've taught her to live by. It's about self-responsibility. And it's about trying hard, earning your keep, living a harmonious life, and loving yourself so you can love others. And that's what this is about. Now, last thing here about motivation is, to get what you've never had, you must do what you've never done. Now, that requires effort and mainline, very straight, very focused, totally engaged effort is what I'm going to talk about tonight. Now, here's the agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about the economy, which is really doing well, which has positive sides and negative sides. The second thing we're going to talk about is the challenges of wholesaling. We're going to talk about flipping and other type of real estate investing genres. We're going to talk about tax liens and tax deeds. We're going to talk about why tax liens and tax deeds make perfect sense right now. I'm going to talk a little bit about strategies. I'm going to show you a couple of sample deals. I'm going to show you a little bit of the tools that I use. I'm going to have a little Q&A. And we're going to talk about the, actually not 1 day, the 3-day program. When we talk about the real estate business, what happens is we have to talk about how much money are you supposed to make in the tax lien business or in the construction business? Well, let's talk about what every other American family makes as a median income. I'm not talking about the guys that live in New York City, nor am I talking about the guys that live in Anderson, South Carolina, which is, one guy's making $10 an hour and the other guy's making $80 an hour, but they're both basically just living. So we're talking about the median income. It's not how much that you earn. And the reason why is this: it can change at any minute. You can get a pink slip, or you can just decide that you're not happy at this job no more and you're going to go. Okay. And it's not the amount of debt on productive assets. This is key. If you buy a house that you rehab and flip and the market bottom falls out, what happens is that debt obligation could become a problem. We're going to talk about tonight the lowest barrier of entry into the real estate market. Utilizing credit cards to enhance a lifestyle is pain. Twice its pain. First, you have to pay that back with interest over time. And what you're paying it back with is with future earnings. So it's like you're digging a hole and the hole's getting deeper and deeper every month just because of the interest rate. So here's the key. It's what you own outright that generates income. And what I mean by that is this. When I go to sleep at night, my rental properties and my businesses are making me money. I make money when I'm sleeping. That's the beauty of real estate holdings, being a landlord. The word lord has a lot of connotations. It goes right back to the Magna Carta, when the King of England went to his knights and started giving properties away for guarantee of help later. Now, here's what the bottom line is. Let's start at the bottom and we'll work our way up here. At the bottom, the property value, the real estate value of what is auctioned off via deeds and liens throughout the United States is worth $3.125 trillion. That is a vast amount of real estate that goes under the gavel every year, self-generated. Every year, that number goes up for sale. There are auctions of tax liens in 29 locations in the United States. 29 states, their law sells tax liens yearly. 21 states sells tax deeds yearly. What I do is I concentrate on tax liens because tax liens are the lowest barrier of entry into the real estate market. We're talking about 3, 5, 8 cents on a dollar is the opening bid on a tax lien. Now, one line up, there is, and when I use the word unlimited supply, we're talking about under the hammer, $25 billion worth of tax liens are paid for by tax lien investors every year. The value of that property is $3.125 trillion, but people are forking over $25 billion a year every year on tax liens. Okay? At the end of the day, this is a very predictable business. And why it's predictable is this. People don't pay taxes for several reasons. One of the reasons is the house is in disrepair. Another reason is they moved, they had a mortgage on it or they had a loan on it and they couldn't pay it. The people who have the mortgage have lost interest in the property. People die. There are many reasons why people lose property. And the bottom line is this. We, as entrepreneurs, as real estate investors, are not afraid to have a house rehabbed. If you have to change one light or all the lights, no matter how you twist the turn, you need an electrician. Or if you have to replace a little bit of shingle, or if you have to replace the whole roof, you need a roofer. We're in the business. This is what we do. What happens is an older person or a person that's an office worker doesn't have the skill set, the mindset, the lust of an investment professional and entrepreneur. Doesn't have that. I know that you can't understand that, but there are people that just don't get it. Now, Here is the deal about the tax lien business. When you invest in liens, two things happen. You have lien flow, you're earning money, 12%, 16%, 18% interest on your money. It's like being a hard money lender when you buy tax liens. The interest rate is huge, number one. Number two, in the time frame that the person has to pay you back the money, if he doesn't pay you back and you don't get all your money back plus all that interest, you get the property. Bottom line, you either get paid big dollars or you get the property back. So lien flow, when they don't redeem, gives you deed flow, and deal flow gives you cash. So the tax lien is tax flow. If it doesn't redeem, it becomes a deed, gives you deal flow. And then if you flip it or you hold it for rent, that gives you cash flow. I'm never spinning my wheels looking at 10 properties, 20 properties, 30 properties every quarter to hope to find a deal, to try to take a square peg and stick it in a round hole. What happens is the county gives me lists. I shake that list down to what I want, and then I start buying liens. I get paid either way. I'm never not earning money. My money's always at work. Anyway. Now, what's going on? This is a little bit of economic news. Small, but need to give it to you. In a 10-year period, in a 5-year period from 2009 to 2015, in 2009, every major city on this list, every major city, Atlanta, Columbus, Ohio, New Orleans, Knoxville, Birmingham, San Diego, Baltimore, every city on this list, there were more homeowners that owned the home and lived in it than people who rented the home and lived in it. And as you can see, as we go over this period of time here, what happens is now more people, not more, every major city, Irving City, Baton Rouge, Denver, Detroit, St. Paul, Memphis, every one of these cities have more renters in it than they have homeowners. So, as a rehabber, I would try to keep that in mind. And as a person who's a landlord, you know you're heading in the right direction. Now, here are some of the basics about tax liens. First of all, they've been around forever. Caesar was the first guy that decided it was time to start paying for the roads. The roads were killing them. It'll probably be around forever. And the reason why, it's a great contract. The county's going to provide you with lights so you have good traffic flow, sewers, waters, school teachers, police departments, and for that, you're going to pay your fair share. It's a good concept. Buying tax liens, there is low competition. And when I say low, I want to explain it like this. I went to an auction in Columbia, South Carolina, towards the end of November. When I got there the first day, first couple of hours actually, the place was packed. Packed. After about 6-7 hours, so now I'm talking about 2:30 in the afternoon, the place was literally half empty. The second day, the half that came back, about half of them left by about 12:30 of the second day. And everything's in alphabetical order. So what happened was By the time the P's, the people with the name like Peters and Pauls and Pasternak started to come up, there was nobody in the room. I raised my paddle all afternoon and half of the next morning Wednesday. There was 7,800 properties for sale, but people only decided to come for one day. Maybe packed in the beginning, but believe me, you're going to do well. Banks are really not. The market's going crazy. The banks are really not into tying their money up in a 3-year tax lien or a 1-year tax lien. They'd much rather have it in the market. And it's easily repeatable. Like, I was in Tucson, I was in Birmingham, I was in Biloxi, I was in Knoxville. I was in many states last year. This process is repeatable almost everywhere in the country. And tax sales work in any market cycle. The market is overheated right now. There's no question the market's overheated. But here's what's going on. Tax liens go up at what the taxes are, the lowest barrier of entry. The number that is owed to the county is what the opening bid is on taxes. Do they go up? Certainly. Does the interest rate go down in bid down auctions? Certainly. Is there a premium in some other auctions? Sure. But the bottom line is, it's not like paying 75 cents or 85 cents on a dollar. It's like paying 5, 8, 13 cents on a dollar. So it's fantastic in every market cycle. And it's, like I said, it's all over the country. I went from the West Coast. I went down to the Deep South. I'm up in New Jersey. It's all over the country. And it's the lowest barrier of entry into the real estate market. Number one, there are billions of dollars worth of certificates that have trillions of dollars worth of value. It's all over the country with a low starting bid. Now, here are the basics. A tax lien is a certificate. What the certificate represents is the investor is taking the county's place. So you're taking a certificate from the county, paying them the taxes that that other person owes. A tax deed is different. The county is seizing the property of the homeowner and is auctioning it off to the highest bidder. And that person is then getting the deed, sometimes on the spot, sometimes there's a redemption period in there, but they're getting the deed and they're controlling the property. The redemption period is the length of time that a person has to come up with the money plus the interest to pay back the county so the county will pay the investor and expunge the lien. Here are the benefits. You're going to get the interest 97% of the time. A lot of stuff, almost everything redeems. But we're going to talk about the secret sauce here in a little bit. But if it doesn't redeem, you get the property. Now, there are questions. I see a lot of questions here. What happens to the mortgage? Now, every state law is different. So you have to know the state law when you're making investments. Some of the mortgages just go away. In South Carolina, there's no existing mortgage clause. If the mortgage company doesn't pay, they lose first position, slide into second position, and once the deed is taken, seized by the county, it's wiped off. Could you imagine that? Having a mortgage on the house that got wiped off because the bank forgot to pay the taxes? I've seen it. And what happens to the outstanding liens? Same thing. They evaporate because the county seizes it and expunges all other liens. Because each and every lien holder was notified of the tax lien problem that that house had. And they had all rights to pay. They could have paid the lien. Now, here is a schematic of how the system works. The key thing here is that big circle in the middle over the house that says distressed. I'm going to get to that in a second. The taxpayer has a deal with the county. Deal simple. The county is going to provide that particular location, that piece of real estate, with water and sewer and roads and lights and police protection and schools and all kinds of things. For that privilege, the county expects to be paid X number of mills for that service. If the guy doesn't pay that property tax, what they do is they auction off, they sell a certificate to the highest bidder or to the most appropriate bidder for the back taxes. The investor pays for it and then has every right and privilege that the county has according to state law. Now, here are the dynamics. First, a tax lien is an asset-backed security. The house is the asset. Now, in the 3-day, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about exactly how do we look at this house. Okay? Now, the interest rate and the redemption period are fixed by state law. It's not flexible. It's fixed. And we have the lists of every upcoming auction, every past auction, and every auction where there is a redemption period coming, because there are strategies that we use, mailing strategies, over-the-counter strategies. We lay it out in a very simple fashion about exactly what you're supposed to do. And quite frankly, this is the perfect economy to be investing in tax liens. Now, the bank interest rate is 0.039% at Ally, and the financial markets, I mean, if you're willing to put your money in, give them $1,000 and have them give you less than $1 after a year, you could lend me $1,000 and I'll give you less than $1 at the end of the year. You lend me as many as you want, actually. That, number one. And number two, every expert is talking about the market condition right now. And they use phrases like melting up. Now, sooner or later, reality has to set in. We owe $20+ trillion. The debt is staggering. The value of the dollar is through the floor right now, internationally. And nothing is fixed in the banking system. That, to me, is a rigged market. I really don't want to play in that market. Again, the 4 laws that we talked about right in the beginning, I really am a self-reliant kind of guy. I like to do my diligence. I like to buy stuff that's low in price, the lowest barrier entry to get in. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to follow a herd. That's not what I do for a living. Okay. Back to the single most important thing here. Go to the bottom. Property values of $3.125 trillion gets auctioned off. But here is the deal. 97% of everything redeems. So if there are 100 properties go to lien, go to auction, and 97 redeem, 3 becomes deeds. That doesn't sound like such a good deal. Actually, that sounds lousy. But now, here's what I'm going to talk about. What happens if all we concentrate on is the 3%? How about the only thing we want to even look at is the 3%? Now, we're talking about $25 billion worth of real estate at the auction, what's 3% of that? So it's a lot. It's a lot. And what's the value of that property? It's a lot. And what we're going to talk about, what I'm going to do a little side here and let you in on a little secret. I love dead people. The deader, the better. And let me explain to you why. Here is the deal. If there is a house in a great neighborhood where the guy passed away and it's in disrepair and the family lives in another state and they don't have the ability to rent it, they don't have the ability to rehab it, it's not in sellable condition, what happens is they walk away. That's the 3%, part of the 3% that we're going to look at. And I'm going to go into that in detail a little further on. Okay, here is the deal. The first benefit of a tax certificate is, of course, it can redeem at any point in time. It's very unpredictable. Sometimes people get Christmas bonuses, they'll pay back taxes. They'll stay home instead of going on vacation, pay back taxes. We're at the point in time where the federal government starts to send checks back to people, they'll pay taxes. What happens is, but us as investors have to keep moving our money, because the minute our money sits, we're losing time. We need to control the velocity of our investment dollars. And the way to control the velocity of our investment dollars is to be in several markets simultaneously at different times of the year to keep the money moving. And we're going to show you we have the tools to do that. We have the strategies to help you control your velocity, to keep you reinvesting your money, because at the end of the day, the bottom line is we want to buy real estate. We want to buy real estate for pennies on a dollar. We want to rehab it. We want to hold it. We want to hold it in a self-directed IRA so we don't ever have to pay taxes again. And if on rare occasion we need to build up some capital, we'll even flip it. But at the bottom line is we're going to concentrate on the 3% for the rest of this call. Now, real quick, we talked about auctions several times. There's another way to buy properties, over the counter. And let me explain to you what over the counter is. You go to the auction, properties are selling, and at the end of the day, some properties just didn't go. I don't know why, but sometimes people just don't buy them. Sometimes people do buy them. And when they do buy them, they don't have all the money to pay for them. So what happens is the sale's over. The people went in and said, hey, I bought 14 liens. I really only have the money for 9 liens. And what is the county going to do? Not take the man's money. They take the man's money for the 9 liens, and these are left over. And this happens. You got to remember, you're talking about 6,000 or 7,000 properties being sold. This can happen a couple of dozen times, 20 times, 24, 25 times. And all of a sudden you got another 75 or 80 properties that are really good condition as per the auction that you could go in and you can buy again, no raising a paddle. And you know, it's a couple of weeks after the auction, but you can always find a couple extra properties. I love the over the counter. I mean, all you're doing when you buy stuff over the counter, it's very simple. You're only paying the actual back taxes. You're not paying any of the fees. You're not paying anybody else bidding up against you. It's strong. It's a really, really great way to acquire liens. Now, remember in that slide I showed you a couple of slides ago with the schematic, and I said that big bullseye around that house. Here's what this list is. It's not just the liens that redeem, and it's not the over-the-counter, and it's not the auction. The list itself is unequivocally the list of the most motivated sellers in a particular market. And what I mean by that is this. If people ain't paying their taxes, and the house is in disrepair, and the house is vacant, they are at a gross disadvantage, because what happens is, especially if they live out of town, they have no connection to that home. They have no emotional connection. They don't know anybody in the area. They don't know what the valuation is. All they know is they owe money. Now, if you got a couple of kids at home, or a couple of kids in college, or whatever the situation is, you don't have a fantastic job, you don't have that extra capital, and you're not in the business, and you're not an investor, what happens is it slides further and further and further into the hole. And more importantly, you have the urgency of the redemption period. And on top of everything else, you have the no money. You have the, I ain't got money to fix this. And all this it's just a drain on them. So now what I like to do is I like to send letters. I like to send letters to a list of people that I know are in a position where they're not moving forward. Normally, when you mail to somebody and say, hey, I want to buy your house. In a situation like this, with a strategy of, we know you have a tax lien out there, and we know it's still not paid, and we know you only have till the end of February to pay this, I might have a solution. I'm not offering to buy their house, because I'm not in the house buying business. I want to buy a quitclaim deed. I will take care of everything from here. That's the strategy that I want to use in my mailing strategy. And I'm going to go over it, because everybody knows on this call, you need 3 to 5 touches to start to open up a deal. I'm going to show you how to do that in 3 touches. Now, here's a buying strategy. Number 1, we all know that 97% redeem, and we don't care about any one of those 97%. Our concentration is on the 3%. And we know wholesalers, there's an exit strategy for wholesalers. I'm not a wholesaler. I've never wholesaled. And the reason why, I think wholesaling is the hardest job there is in the building business, because you have to deal with an unrealistic homeowner. First, you got to find the location that is for sale. Then you have to teach an unrealistic homeowner. You have to figure out exactly what the after repaired value of that house is. You have to figure out what the repairs are, and you have to eke out a living, and then you have to go to your buying list to sell it. Tough, but I have an exit strategy for liens that we could talk about. Now, buying over the county on things that probably won't redeem. At the auction, there are 5 buyers. The first buyer is the guy who wants to buy the property right next door. He wants to put up a garage, he wants a bigger yard, or put up a fence, something like that. The second buyer is an agricultural buyer. An agricultural buyer, to have cattle on your property during the winter, they need hay. So what happens is, a lot of guys are looking for additional hay fields so that they could feed their cattle. So that's your second buyer. Your third buyer is your interest player. A lot of believe it or not, a lot of gray-haired old ladies with an awful lot of money go to the tax lien. And the reason why they go to the auction is because they're making 0 in the bank, and they need some money to pay the prescriptions. So what they do is they go to the tax lien auction. It's amazing. The fourth person is your venture capitalists, your banks, your hedge funds. They're looking for big stuff. They want to park big money. And the last guy is me and you. I'm looking for a house that's empty. The guy's dead, in a great neighborhood, in need of repair. So that's what I'm looking for. And I have the tools, the techniques, and the procedures to get you through this year. Send mail to properties that have lien certificates prior to redemption. Here's the deal. I mail several times a year. I call them warm-ups. I send the postcards. I never send letters. What happens to letters? They don't get open. They read a postcard. If you ever notice a casino sends you something. They say, we're going to give you a pot. We're going to give you a toaster. It never comes in a letter. It comes on a postcard because they know people don't open mail. So that's why we're going to send postcards, and big ones with a message. We have solutions. Okay? Now, the county's going to tell you every time they're going to send a piece of mail explaining why the bill went up, or how they posted on their house or something like that. My goal for you and me is to follow that list. Every time the county mails the homeowner something to tell them that they charge them another $50 or something like that, what happens is we want to follow that up right away, because they're hot. They're looking to get rid of this thing, and they may come for a solution. And the second thing is, if you go to the deed auction, okay, you want to present options to a guy. Maybe one of the options you want to present to the guy is you want to help him with the overages. Because sometimes overages in certain locations take 2 years to be ready. So you may want to do something like that. Or you may want to ask him, do you want me to buy your house? I'll gladly pay you the back taxes and whatever it takes to get you out of here. And we've done that. We've paid guys, well, I don't want to go into it now, but we paid one guy $16,000 a move, paid $20,000 worth of back taxes, and promised him $70,000 when we rehabbed it and sold it. And that's exactly what we did. And it was a $550,000 house. We had to put $140 into it. But at the end of the day, we were splitting 200, between me and my partners, $250,000+, when in actuality we only laid out 36 to get the house in our possession. Okay, and overages are strong. Now, there's one other thing that we didn't talk about yet. And a matter of fact, I picked up a list 2 days ago, a foreclosed land commission list. Now, what a foreclosed land commission list is this. It's property owned by the county for a very long period of time. A matter of fact, I'm going to take this list out. I got in my hand an FLC list of 45 properties from the county. And what happens is they told me what their asking price is. Their asking price is $850, $550, $1,500. Asking price. These are houses. $550, $1,250, $950. At the end of the day, you go in, you look at the list, you buy 4 for $2,000, and you make them this is asking price. And if I go in and ask them for 4 and it's $2,200, I'm going to say, hey, Don, who is the assistant treasurer, I'm looking at these 4. Can I give you $300 a piece, $1,200 for the 4 of them? And the answer is, amen. Yes. The reason why he says yes is because they're not self-insured. He's not responsible for them from the second I hand them $300, and they go right on the rent roll. They go right back to paying taxes. Some of these houses had $16,000, $18,000 worth of taxes on them, and they're looking to get rid of them, have me rehab, and move forward. That's exactly what we're going to do. So that's what Struck Off is. Training is everything. We have the techniques, we have the training, we have the procedures to get you through this with no problem. Now, how do you control velocity? The first thing is this. managing transactional velocity, you have to understand what you're buying. I'm gonna tell you what I buy. First, I buy single family homes. The single family homes I buy are in a specific area of the city. I buy in a specific school district. That's what I'm purchasing. And what I'm doing with these, I'm turning these into rentals. Now, when I buy them, what happens is I know my intent before I bought them, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn it into a rental property. Now, let's assume I bought one and said, hey, this is in a better neighborhood than I'm normally in. And a lot of the people that live in this neighborhood and everybody on this block is a homeowner. I will repair that house entirely differently than if I was going to repair that house as a rental. So again, talking about the intent of the purchase. Sometimes I buy to flip. And I just repeat the process. That's what I do. I buy tax liens in the markets I'm in. Every tax lien period, I send out letters. Every tax lien during the process, and I just do it over and over and over. And I'm investing in 3 different cities at 3 different locations, and it works perfectly. An investor needs to understand deal flow. As a buyer, when I'm going to the auction, and as a seller, how I'm going to repair this property. Is this property going to have a better kitchen in it? Is this property going to have better faucets and better accoutrements like lights and bigger trim? I'm not going to put big trim and crown molding in the house that I'm going to rent, but of course, I want to be the nicest property on the block when my property comes for sale, when I'm selling my property. And here's the reason why. There's so much meat on the bone. I bought that property for pennies on a dollar, where anybody else in that neighborhood that got involved was working with an after repaired value purchase number. The money is never made in the repairs, and the money is never made in the sale. The money's made in the buy. And what we are doing is we're buying at the lowest barrier of entry. That's the key. Now, I'm going to tell you a quick story. What happened was several years ago, I bought a tax lien, and the tax lien didn't redeem. I got the property. Now, it was in an area that I wanted to do a flip. I know who the 2 people are that need to sign off quitclaim deeds. I have my attorney call him, and he comes back to me with a story. He says, man, we got to go for an action to quiet title. I said, why? He said, these people hate each other. They're sisters. One's 81, the other one's 79. I said, you kidding me? They haven't talked in 70 years. I said, what do you mean they haven't talked in 70 years? He says, I'm going to tell you, one of the sisters bit the chocolate ears off of Easter Bunny Rabbit, and they haven't talked since. I was like, oh my God. They actually went to court over the quitclaim deed to fight each other on my dime. It was crazy. Anyway, I'm going to show you when we dissect the property card, even though it looks good, you should never buy it. And it has to do with probate and the length of time property has been in probate. The longest probate I've ever seen was 1943. Property in 2016 had been in probate for 80 years. Now, we talked about investing, and we didn't talk about taxes. My goal in life is to not pay taxes. That's my goal. I want to keep, it's not how much money I earn. It's how much money I keep that really counts. And how you do this is this. You need to open a self-directed IRA, because nobody can tell me, and I'm old, and nobody can tell me I'm going to receive Social Security from the day I take it to the day I die. No one can say that. And if you're younger than me, you can almost guarantee yourself you're not going to get it. Here's what I do. I have a self-directed IRA. It's a Roth. The money was taxed on the way in. Now what happens is this. I'm buying tax liens from my self-directed IRA. The liens are going into, my capital's going out, dollars. The liens are taking the place of the dollars. When the liens redeem, the county sends my IRA the money. When the liens don't redeem and I get houses, they send the deed to my self-directed IRA. I take my capital, I repair it from my self-directed IRA and rent for the rest of my life, my children's life, and my children's children's life is utilizable tax-free. What happens is there's A, tremendous velocity in earnings. B, there's transactional income, meaning that since I'm not paying taxes, I have all that extra capital, all that extra income. Again, it's not what you make, it's what you keep that counts. This is strong. We have an expert that comes to the 3-day. Actually, he teaches for 45 minutes on the Saturday, and he teaches again on the Sunday. And what he does is he goes over something called a ROB, which is for a 401k. And then he goes over self-directed IRAs. He goes over all kinds of plans. The guy's a genius. I mean, he's been in the business since literally the 80s when this stuff started. What I have in mind is this. I have commercial property. I have cash. I have stocks. I have single-family rentals. I have some LLCs and promissory notes. I don't have any speculative certificates anymore. I should take that off. And I have certificates and I got deeds. Now, here are some recent deals. This was a house that I bought with one of my students. My student got this house for about $1,600. And what happened was it's the only house she had in this particular town. And she said, hey, I'm not investing in this town. I'm going to invest in another town. And I said, oh, I'll buy it from you. She said, would you give me $7,500? I said, sure, no question. And now I prehabbed it. Now, and I'll go over there. There are different levels of rehab, but I did a prehab. And what a prehab is this. I put in a new electrical system. I put a new roof on. I cleaned the dead trees and all of that, all the heavy stuff. I got it all out of the way. And then I sold it. I sold it to a young couple. I put it for sale on Craigslist. No realtors involved at all. And I sold it for $38,650. So here's the deal. It was in my self-directed IRA. Here's the contract. I sold it to Elizabeth Ham. Okay. I sold it for $38,600. There it is right there. COD on delivery, no contingencies, as is, nothing, done. That's exactly how I sold it in my self-directed IRA. So how much did I make? Probably made about $23,000 on that sale. Now, this year, I just got done working on this house. Nobody bought this house. The reason why nobody bought this house had an asbestos roof. Everybody ran away from this thing like their hair was on fire. What I did was I took the roof off. Very simple to do. Didn't have to have a contractor come in. I did it myself. And I paid $2,300 for it. It's a 2-bath, 3-bedroom. It has a laundry room. Totally renovated. I didn't even paint this house on the outside. I put in windows, doors, took out the chimney, got it cleaned up, and it's rented right now. Nice couple. The Alexanders living there. Here's another one. This is right by the college. I'm rehabbing it now, actually. What happens is I'm going to rent it for minimum 18 months. And the reason why, it's literally 1 block away from the college. So I'm not going to have, I want students in there. So I put new vinyl siding on. I'm fixing it for college students. That's what I'm doing. That's a come the estimates 23,500. I'm putting in Wi-Fi, Cat 5. I'm putting a couple of flat screen TVs in it. I'm putting shower stalls. I'm putting in a security system. I'm doing a lot of work here because my goal is to get $750 a month per student. $1,500 a month for this house when that thing is done. But it's going to be like glass, smooth as hell. So my break-even point in this house is probably 2 years. I got a garage in the back. I got a storage area in the back. I mean, this house has a screen porch on the side. It's got wood floors. It's going to be fully furnished. It's going to be strong, and I'll make a lot of money on this. I pay $2,300 is what I paid for that house. This is a killer. Now, that house down on F Street, this is 337 F Street. I don't know if you've seen the address on the other one. I think it was 316 F Street. This house caught fire, okay? The guy didn't have insurance. I sent the guy a postcard, okay? What I did was this. It's right now it's rented. I gave him $1,000. Let me see if I can show you that. Yeah, see, I put a brand new roof on. I fixed all the smoke damage in there. It looks great. Okay, I'm going to put vinyl shakes on it. I added a second bathroom. The rehab wasn't heavy at all, actually. And here it is. This is Brad Richardson was the attorney that handled it. Here you go. I bought it in June of last year. Where's the price? Right there, and it's right second down there. It says $1,000. I paid $1,000 for that house. Yeah, I put $15,000, $18,000 into it, but at the end of the day, what is it going to take me to get even? And this is letter writing campaign on a tax lien. Now here's one that we have a case study on. This was a church. I bought the church for, again, 20. If you notice, that's kind of the magic number of tax lien, $2,300. This church was an existing church in a neighborhood in a mill area of the town. Okay, meaning that there used to be a mill there, and they have all of these houses in the area. They don't have washing machines. They don't have laundromats in them. And there's a housing project about 4 blocks away. Same thing. I have 3-phase power running on Tribble Street, which is the street right running right past the house, right past the church. I have proper sewer, proper water. I don't need any approvals. And the reason why is since the church had a 6-inch sewer main and had a 1-inch water main. If I was putting in washing machines, it would cost me $3,500 surcharge per washing machine. But since it's all done already, I'm not getting charged. Another man, literally 3 blocks away on Tribble and Molden, wanted to put in a laundromat. The fee to put in the laundromat was $100,000. I have no fee. At the end of the day, knowing that when I bought this building, intent, knowing I was turning this into a laundromat, I called the owner, and the son was a pastor. He lived pretty far away, and I said to him, "Are you going to pay the tax lien? I own the tax lien." And he said, no, the church is not salvageable. And he lived in Charleston. And what I did was I said, can I go in? I'd like to drill a hole in the floor and then I'll patch the floor. What I did was I had the guy from the laundromat company come in and core the floor and said, yes, you have a 6-inch thick floor. You can install these machines in here. I have a full case study about how I found the money to build that into a laundromat. Anyway, I'll talk to you about that at the mastery event. Here are some of the tools we use. Okay. The command center is the location where we placed everything that we use to make money. We talked about locations. Here's an old map that we have, and you could see in the first column, you see some blue with some Monday, and then Tuesday you see some orange and some blue, and then Wednesday. Well, what the blue stands for is deeds. Those are deed auctions. Every deed auction will show up in blue. The orange colored ones, what those are redeemable deeds, meaning that you get to own the house, but the guy can pay you back in 6 months or 2 years at 25% interest per year. And then the green ones, that's Arizona. That's a bid down auction. But that's what the calendar looks like every day of the year. That's what it looks like. Now, the wealth roadmap, what the wealth roadmap is we put that out every month. And it's about future auctions, the auctions that are going to happen a couple of months from now, so that you can do your diligence. And in the roadmap, what we tell you, what type of auction it is, how many people live in the town, how many tax liens there was the last time around, and, you know, what is the place getting stronger? Is it getting weaker? Is there jobs moving into the area? Because let's face it, it's always about jobs. And then the main tool we use is the research assistant. What the research assistant is, it helps you. You're looking at 7,000 properties or 5,000 properties, but there's a lot of stuff that we don't even want to bother with. So what this tool does, it's an Excel spreadsheet. This tool lays right over an Excel spreadsheet, and what we do is we'll get rid of all the vacant land first, and then we'll get rid of everything that's not in the proper zip code that we want. And then we'll get rid of everything where the owner lives in the building. If the bill's being mailed to that address, we're not really interested in that. And then what's left is the non-owner occupied. And those non-owner occupied is key, because then we're doing deeper research and we're making sure it's vacant. And then we're doing a little bit deeper research and we're checking to see if it's heirs, if the guy has passed away. And those are the ones we're constantly honing in on. And there are a lot of tools up here. You can see first you have create a map, because if there are outliers, I'm not interested in owning in an outlying area, because my contractor's got to drive to and from a job and I got to pay them for the times they travel. I'm not interested in that. So I'm going to create a map, and when I create a map, if there are outliers, I get rid of them. I'm really interested in non-owner occupied, so I'm moving them to the top. And then duplicate addresses. What duplicate addresses means is this: there could be a guy that has 4 or 5 or 6 properties for sale at an auction. We've seen that happen before. We were in a Florida auction. The guy had 10 properties and 10 condos actually. And what we did is we sat down, we skip traced him, we found him. I got his phone number, I got his email address, and I contacted him. And what happened was he was a couple of $1 million in the hole on more than a couple of $1 million worth of real estate. And what we did is we wanted to buy out his position, because the mortgages are in place. We wanted to give him a deed in lieu. So deed in lieu would be, okay, we'll assume all your debt, we'll pay your back taxes, give us a deed, and we'll take it from here. That's you never know what you're going to run into on a tax lien list. You never know. Everything is possible. And then everything we want to keep, we export into data sheets, because we have apps that we're going to go in a field with. And of course, you have pass and fail. Pass and fail we use very late in the game because I use the fail button only after I have boots on the ground or someone goes and physically looks at a house. Okay? And then when I'm done, I'm sorting by keepers and then I'm saving them. Now, not every tax lien is the same. A house that's in more disrepair than another house goes to the bottom. I'm not going to pay more than just the back taxes. I'm not going to raise my paddle and pay another $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 for something that needs, instead of $20,000 worth of work, $35,000 or $37,000. I'm not interested in owning a house like that. I want to be in at the lowest barrier of entry. That's my goal. That's where I'm at. Now, after I get through this sorting and keeping, I have a route planner. The reason why I have a route planner is I'm going to be looking at maybe upwards to 200 homes, 250 homes before the auction. So, of course, I want to have the most concise, compact route I could have. So we have a route planner on here. Sometimes I don't know what's going on in property values. And I don't like to use just Total View Real Estate or Zillow or something like that there. I like to get the flavor of a local guy. So I will find the best realtor in that particular zip code and I'll hammer away and get some information from her. And when I need a local contractor, I find a contractor. I find them through the Builders Association. I can find it through Home Resources. I can find it through Angie's List. There are several ways to find high caliber, good, non-local to you carpenters and electricians. Now, everything wraps around diligence. This is where the rubber meets the road. First thing you do is you need to get the list. After you break it down, you need to examine a property card. You have to locate the property in a GIS map because you really got to know where you are, because let's face it, if you don't live in that particular town, you want to make sure you're on Brown Street, you're on the right Brown Street. There could be Brown Place, Brown Court, Brown anything, Avenue, Street, so Boulevard. So you want to make sure you're absolutely in the right place. And then you want to get an existing CMA. Most of the time, it's just online because that's where you are before you're making a purchase. And then what happens is you make the purchase. The bottom line is buying, because you got to remember you're buying a lot of liens. At an average auction, you try to buy about 30 liens, because even though you're concentrating on the 3%, the 3% that you hope don't redeem, they redeem too. Now, as a pro, we have a lot of checklists built into our system that you use on site, either in an app, in a photo app, in a research assistant, or or just paper checklists that we have. Okay, they're very comprehensive. They're very thorough. They help reduce mistakes. Okay, what happens is you make more money when you know what you're doing. Okay, and it's very unemotional. It's go or no go. Okay, and the sheet doesn't get excited like you or I get. Now, I want to take a quick aside here. When I look at property neutral, as a neutral look. When I go look, I have an idea of what I'm hoping to see. I am not positive or negative. Being positive or negative in real estate, it's the same coin. I want to be neutral. I want to do my diligence. When it fits my protocol, I'm moving positively to make the purchase. If I'm going in there positively and just buying everything, what happens is there's no need to go look on site, because you're going to make mistakes every time. It's important to do your diligence in a neutral fashion, because going in positively doesn't help you. Going in negatively doesn't help you. Going in, doing your diligence, eyes wide open, very thorough. Again, it's all about you, self-reliance. It's all about you, okay? Now, questions. Anybody have any questions?
Tom, we definitely have a bunch of questions, and if you haven't sent them in yet, now's your chance. But we did have quite a few come in during the webinar. So I'll start from the top.
Okay.
This first one came in early on from Bart.
Hey, Bart.
His question was, is there a strategy to buy tax deeds without going through the auction process? I'm in Savannah, Georgia.
Absolutely. In Savannah. I can't wait to see you. Yes. There are several strategies, but let's touch on one that's early in the game. What happens is the list comes out of the auction, the deed auction in Georgia, about 26 to 28 days before the auction happens. When you know that list is coming out, call me. We take that, you get the newspaper, you send it to me, or you get a digital list from the county, and what we do is we send it to India. We send it to India and we get it digitized. After we get it digitized, we send it to Serbia. And then what he does is he makes it so it fits in a research assistant. That's going to take 4 days. Then you run the entire list through the research assistant and get rid of the stuff, bad zip codes, vacant land, commercial property, get rid of everything, people living in the house, get rid of all of those. And then you're going to have a package of 100, 130 properties that fit the protocol of vacant, dead, and out-of-state owners. Those people, you don't mail them a postcard. What you do with those people, you mail them lumpy mail, a mouse pad in an envelope with the notification. How you do that through the research assistant is through click to mail, because they have a lumpy mail section in their catalog where it costs you a couple of bucks, but it is absolutely critical to get the mail open. When you see me in Savannah, pull me to the side. We'll talk about it.
And tell them what lumpy mail is real quick.
What lumpy mail is it's a gift. It's something that comes in a brown envelope, big. It doesn't look like any other piece of mail. He is compelled literally to open it, and it's a gift. It could be a keychain with shredded $100 bills in it. It could be a cup, a little platter, and with it is a message, a real solution-driven message. And it's not, I want to buy your house. That's not the message. The message is we have solutions.
Yep. So it's a piece of mail that's lumpy that gets opened.
Right. Gets open every time.
Yep. And that's why, because it looks like something is inside and they want to check it out and see what it is. Hey, just since you're from Savannah, I thought I'd let you know Tom's going to be in town on the March 12th meeting and doing a workshop that following weekend, which I believe is the 17th.
Yep.
All right, this next question is from Jenny. When do you get possession to the tax lien property? And where are they paying the payments to when you purchase a tax lien property? Okay, I hope I read that right. When do you get possession of the tax lien property, if you get possession at all, if it's just a tax lien? And where are they paying the payments to when you purchase a tax lien?
Okay. This is a newbie question. Where is she located?
She didn't say.
Oh, okay.
But Jenny, Rutherford, if you're out there and you want to send in where you're from, that'd be helpful.
Okay, here's what it is. When you buy a lien, you get no ownership rights. What you get is lien rights. And what the lien right is A, all your money back with interest, or at the end of the redemption period, the seized deed, the property. You get one or the other. when you are in the lien process, you have no rights. The rights you have is the right to be paid, or at the end of the redemption period, the right to get the property.
All right. And the second part of her question was, where do you make the payments on that lien? Is it to the county or to the city?
It depends on the taxing institution. If the taxing institution is the city, that's where you pay. If the taxing institution is the county, that's where you pay. But it always goes to the treasurer.
All right. And the next question is from her as well.
Ooh.
Because she has two back to back.
Okay.
Do you become responsible for the property, the utilities, etc., once you pay the tax lien? Are these vacant properties that the owners have been evicted out of?
Okay. Again, it's a good beginner question. You slide into the rights of the county, which means that while it's a lien, you have no payment you have no payments and no right to ownership rights. Since you have no ownership rights, you have no obligations.
So she's saying, when you buy the liens, are they occupied properties? Are they rentals? Are they owner occupied?
They could be all of the above. They could be any and all of the above.
Yeah, I thought it was. She had a couple good newbie questions. All right, this next question's from Adam. What happens to the mortgage when you get the title to the tax deed property?
It depends entirely on the state. What happens is the states that I invest in, the law is very clear. All liens, including IRS liens, including mortgages, including liens from Lowe's, all liens fall off. Deeds are different. Tax deeds, because the price is higher, some liens get satisfied.
Can you say that again, just for my own clarity? Sometimes they're wiped out and sometimes they're not. Say that again.
On liens, lien states, they're wiped out. On deed states, what happens is, because the deed goes for 33 cents, 40 cents on the dollar, the money that's left over after the taxes goes to satisfy the other open liens till the money is exhausted.
Okay.
You got to remember that 64% of every property in the United States doesn't have a lien on it.
Right.
More properties don't have liens than do have liens. Mortgage lien.
The next part of his question is, do you assume the liens when there are liens? Are you assuming them? Do you get them? Are you responsible for them?
Zero.
So when are you, and this is a question for me, when are you required to do a quiet title action? When does that come into play if all the liens are wiped out?
Here is what the quiet title action is for. It's to close the break in the title chain. If Mary Jones lost the house to the county has a quick claim deed. So now there's a break between you, from her to the next owner, which is, let's say, me. So what happens is, I know who signed for Mary Jones's certified letter from the county. So what I do is I go to the county, I get that information, I give it to my attorney. I never negotiate this. And my attorney either does gets a quick claim deed from the past owner and pays her some money, or B, if he can't, he then performs an action to quiet title. The quiet title action is not to clear loans. The quiet title action is to clear up the breach, the cloud on the title.
Great answer. Okay. This next question is a follow-up from Adam. He said, when you buy the tax deed, do you need to pay the taxes every single year after you bought it?
Absolutely, because it's your house.
Yep. Now, Tom, this is a follow-up for me. You were saying that in a tax lien state versus a tax deed state, in the tax lien state, the liens are wiped out?
Let me bring more clarity. Every state writes its own laws.
Yep.
And it depends on how the laws are written. And if the laws are written in a way where they are pro banking, like Florida, the lobby did a good job there, and they're going to get paid. But if you go to a place like South Carolina or Mississippi, the banking didn't have such a strong lobby, and what happened was the investor won, and those things got wiped out. So it depends on the state.
Well, speaking of states, Jewel asked, what state are you looking at to buy in and why? You personally, where are you buying and why?
Where am I buying and why? You know, here is the deal. I like South Carolina, number one. I like Mississippi, number two. And I like Arizona, number three. The reason why I like South Carolina, it's a 1-year auction, and I attain the property easily with no encumbrances at the end of 1 year. The reason why I like Mississippi is it's a 2-year auction, but it's bid down, meaning that I need a lot less money in Mississippi than I need in South Carolina. And I'm on the Gulf Coast, and I like the water, but it's a 2-year auction. Now, in Arizona, it's a 3-year auction. It's a high interest rate, and I like, and it's little money in, and again, it's bid down. But after the first year, I bid down the interest. The second 2 years, I'm getting 18% interest per year on my money. So I'm more of a financial play in Arizona, and I'm a property play in Mississippi and South Carolina.
Well, since we have a lot of folks on the webinar tonight from Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, and Tennessee, which you haven't really mentioned yet. You mentioned South Carolina.
I'm going to tell you something.
What about those other?
Tennessee. We're doing a lot. I'm going to tell you right now. I spent 3.5 weeks last year in 4 cities doing exploratory work. We're going to invest heavy in Tennessee. We think Tennessee is a smart place to be. North Carolina, we love North Carolina, but the timing if you live in North Carolina, man, you're in the right place, because it's an open bid, meaning that and when you go in and you place a bid on a lien, on a deed, you pay it, but it takes 10 days open for somebody to come in and up your bid. As an out-of-state person, I can't come back every 10 days. So for a local, North Carolina is strong. For an investor in Tennessee, the interest rate's low. The interest rate's 10%, probably the lowest in the country. But the benefit is this: 1 year, you get the deed. Very simple. Simplicity in Tennessee. And it's growing like a weed. It's expanding it's a great place.
Well, speaking of Tennessee, for those of you in the Chattanooga area, Tom's going to be there, I believe, on March 1st.
Yep.
For the Chattanooga RIA meeting, and then that following Saturday, which I believe is March 3rd, for the a 1-day workshop.
And I wrote it. I believe it or not, I wrote a nice paper for you. I just finished it. I'm just having it edited now. It's about 1,500 words. And it nice. Really it's a good piece. You guys should get it in probably a week, in probably the beginning of next week, and it's something to read. And I'll send the second one out, a follow up just before I show up. And I'm going to do a video, out here on the farm.
Sounds good. Real quick, what about Georgia and Florida?
Here is the deal with Florida first. The deal with Florida is it's a two-step. Two-step meaning you're going to go in and you're going to invest in a lien, bid down, which means you're going to make a little interest the first year. The second year you're going to make your interest. Then what happens is you have to bring it to a foreclosure, which means that you have to pay everything else, every other open lien up. And then when it goes to the auction, anybody and everybody can bid on it. So the chances of getting the house are low. I don't like that. That's not something I like. I like it simple. Now, in Georgia, everywhere but the metropolitan areas are great. But the problem with the metro areas are the bidding is hellacious. I mean, you could pay almost retail at auction in a place like Atlanta or Athens. And I just don't like that. I just don't like that bidding. I think the bid I'm a low barrier. I'm cheap. I'm the lowest barrier of entry guy. And I don't think you're at the lowest barrier entry in the metropolitan areas of Georgia. But anywhere else in Georgia is strong.
Okay. Moving back to some more questions that came in. This one came in earlier in the webinar as well from James Perryman. What is the meaning of appropriate bidder?
What is the appropriate bidder? When I say appropriate bidder, I mean the guy that's going to come in, place the winning bid, pay for the winning bid, and knows his entry strategy and his exit strategy. A trained guy who's properly trained.
Very good. Okay. This next one was from Quante Harris. Was wondering if you could quickly give a real quick recap on those 4 laws that you mentioned in the very beginning. Just a quick recap.
The four laws. The first one is cause and effect. That's what I'm writing. That's a matter of fact, the letter I'm sending to Chattanooga discusses this. Okay. The first one is cause and effect. You're totally responsible for yourself. Nobody's good. There is no free lunch. Number one. Number two is the law of striving. Striving means that you gotta go to work. You gotta take care of yourself. You gotta take care of your business. You have to move forward, because if you're not moving forward, you're actually moving backwards. The third law is the law of harmony. When you're in business relationships, if everybody's got to get paid, everybody's got to understand completely what you mean, and you can't fluctuate it. And then the last one is the law of love. And each and every one of these things have everything to do with your own self-reliance. Everything starts with you.
All right. If you got any follow-up questions on that, please send them in. I'm going to keep moving.
Okay.
The next question was from Angelique. She asked, I guess you mentioned this. I didn't catch it myself when you said it, but she asked, what is FLC?
A foreclosed land commission. That's the stuff that the county already owns. And they got to get it off the table. They got to get it off the table.
Okay. Well, there you go, Angelique. Go ahead, Tom.
Let's keep moving, because I got some stuff to do yet.
Oh, okay. Okay, very good.
Okay.
Well, I've got more questions. We'll just take them at the end.
Okay, great. What happens is this. This is our pilot, because I fly all over the country, going to auctions or going to speak. And what happens is, as smart as this guy is, the man owns a plane. He paints every Cracker Barrel in the United States. He started a self-directed IRA because of us, and he was able to put $6,000 in it. And what happens is, he now, from flying us around, opened up his Roth, got everything together, put his first $6,000 in. He owns 8 properties in Spartanburg, South Carolina, just moving forward. And sometimes I get to fly the plane too. Here goes a guy and his sister. Half the year they live in the United States, the other half the year they live in Panama. they get it. They work with the research. He owns 31 properties in 3 years, working with us in the tax lien business. I mean, that's his sister. Looks a lot. They look alike. Anyway, and they are just moving properties, in Arizona, moving properties in Birmingham, Alabama, moving properties in South Carolina. Oh, that's where we should have been. Anyway, yeah, let's ask some more questions. Here is the, if you want to, number one, if you guys want to come to the 3-day, here is the link that you can go to, and you have any more questions, and then we'll go to the close.
I do have some more questions. Jewel wrote in, because she was the one that wrote in about what states you buy in.
Yes.
Was asking, how do you go about buying liens in other states? Do you have to show up physically? Do you do it online? How do you buy liens in other states?
Depends on how the auctions are. Now, every auction that's online, I go to. I like to look at the stuff I'm going to buy because it's really my money. Or I like to go look at the stuff that I'm going to buy because it's really your money. Because I invest for other people as well as myself. So I like to look at stuff. You got to remember, I've been in the business since 1992 in the tax lien business. And I've looked at maybe 300,000 properties, a lot of properties. And you get a real good handle for it. And I look at, probably 50, 75 properties every day when I'm out in the field. But I physically look, get on a plane and go.
All right. The next question is, it was about when you were talking about IRAs and how you hold them for rental income.
Yes.
Christina's question was, does all that rental income go into the IRA?
Absolutely. And it comes right out. You got to season it. There's a couple of things you got to do. I have an expert, a guy who helped write the law. When you come to the 3-day, click on the thing down below here. You come to the 3-day, you will be amazed at the power of a self-directed IRA. It's free money.
All right, this question's from Fentress. How long, and this is a good one, how long do you have to hold a purchase lien before you actually get control of the property if they never redeem it?
If they never redeem it?
Mm-hmm.
If the minute a property doesn't redeem in a lien, you own it. It's yours. Some states are 1 year, some states are 2 years, some states are 3 year. I kind of concentrate on the 2 year and a 1 year.
And that's what you mentioned with South Carolina, Mississippi, and Arizona.
And Tennessee.
All right, Fentress, so there's your answer. It just depends on where you're buying. All right, this next question was from Christian. How do you find the best realtor in a zip code?
They're all listed. The best realtor in every zip code is, you just go to realtor.com and they'll who had the most listings, who had the most sales. It's a public record.
So you can find out who the top producer is in that area.
Right. Top producer in a zip code, top producer in an area.
All right. This is from JC. How do you estimate the bidding price on any one tax lien?
First thing I do is I start at taxes, and then how much repair is going to be needed to get that house to rentable condition. Then what is the neighborhood going for in terms of rental income? Then what is the amount of property that's available for rent? That is some of the matrix I use to figure out what my top bid is. But I teach that at the 3-day. You'll know exactly how much to bid. You'll understand that. And let me tell you something. when you're at the auction, you got to know how to bid, because there may be 4 or 5 people in the auction, up to 4 or 5 people in the auction that are very interested in what you're interested in. And you got to drive their money out the room. And I'll show you how to do that. It's key. That's important stuff. Next.
Danny asked, can we buy tax liens and deeds from you?
Yes. Next question.
I like those short answers.
Yeah.
How would you find a mortgage clause in the different states? How would you find a mortgage
question? It's what happens is, in the state law, the state puts online their tax law. You go to the appendix and you look for delinquent tax sales, and in that section of the law, what happens is you read it, and then it'll tell you what survives and doesn't survive. Every state we invest in, we do that research.
All right, let's see. How is the Tampa market, and will you be doing workshops here? That's from Victoria.
Yes, I'm coming to Tampa.
We don't have the date yet. We were shooting for February, but I don't think that's going to happen. So we're going to try to push it back to another month or so. I got to get with Kim to get that scheduled, but he is coming in the next few months for sure.
Right.
And how's the market there, Tom?
Here's the deal. The market there is a deed market. That's the strength of the market. And what I would do is I would only do lumpy mail. You got to get, because there are so many people in Florida mailing right now. And I would only be dealing with people out of state. More importantly, I would try to find people out of the country. And when you purchase for people out of the country, the problem is getting them paid. And that's something that the secret is, the estates that never had ownership in America have no rights to open bank accounts in America. And so there's no way to send money to Canada. It's against the law. So, but there are other ways to compensate people. That's as far as I can go.
All right. This question is from Fentress. You were talking a few minutes ago about how to go look up the tax deed law in your state about the mortgage and the liens and all that. Yeah. How do you quickly find out if you're in a deed state or a lien state?
Simple. When you go online and you put in the state and the county, it'll tell you that when you go to the delinquent taxes, it'll tell you if it's a deed or a lien right there.
All right. I'm just looking through some of these questions. Some of them we've already kind of sort of answered.
Okay. Let me give them a little bit more then, and we'll go one more time.
Very good.
Okay.
So we got a lot more questions. I'm just going to go through them for you.
Okay. Here's the deal, folks. This is what I'm going to do. You're going to get our tax sale training manual. You're going to get our 10 DVDs and our complete audio instructions. You're going to get the research assistant. The research assistant is a seminal tool. There are other people that teach this. Joanne Moose is a dear friend of mine. Her students use our tools like the research assistant. Jack Bosch is a good friend of mine. Same thing. His guys use our tool. Ted Thomas, his guys use our tool. We have the best tools in the industry. Then what happens is we're going to give you the annual wealth roadmap. That's 12 a year of every county that we think is strong to do business in. Because you got to remember, not every month is as good as the next. This way here, you can see it. You can see growth. We talk about trending, all of that stuff in the wealth roadmap. Then you say, what states? Quite frankly, it's not the state. It's to the county. It's to the zip code. We have location studies of places where we go, so you know where we go. But if you noticed, I talked about Tennessee at the end. The reason why I said I spent weeks in Tennessee last year because I'm going to the auctions this year. I'm going to only 3 auctions in Tennessee this year, and through the entire state. And I'm going to take investors with me. But those case studies will be there for you to read. Now, every form we use to do business is in our system. And all of those forms are yours and yours to utilize. Mailing, all of that stuff is inside there. We have a quick start video. We have a weekly call, a Q&A call every week called the Focus Friday. And we have a library of over 250 2-hour sessions on every topic: construction, roofing, tax liens, tax deeds, self-directed IRAs, you name it. You want to do quick claim deeds, you want to do actions to quiet title, you want to hire contractors, you want to have negotiations, you want to know how to use Excel spreadsheets. Anything you can think of, we have it topicked out. We have 6 months of the Command Center access for free. All our tools, everything we have. It's not 6 months from today. It's 6 months from, you have it free from now till the event. And then after the event and you're fully trained, that's when your 6 months starts. And if you come to one of our events, you get a call from myself once a month, and you get a call from my business partner, Corey, once a month, alone. You and me on the phone. It's like a confessional. You tell me where you're going. You tell me if there's a problem. You tell me what the great things are. You tell me if you need money. And if you need money, quite frankly, we have something. We own a location that loans money. So it's a decent thing to be on the call. And we have unlimited support. Now, what we try to do, I said, I don't know if I said it clearly enough, but my children are all grown. My children are all out of college. 2 of my children are married. 2 of them have houses already, and I just cut checks. Me and my ex-wife just cut checks to get them to the point where they're full. I'm working on my grandchildren now. They're not born yet. I'm creating generational wealth. The next. And now, when you say you added a rat race, you get Matt, Dustin, he seen my brand new Jag that I drove up with. There is, and he's seen pictures of the video of me out on my farm with the cows. I really have an enjoyable life. These are the things I want to get you to. And the answer is getting in real estate at the lowest barrier of entry. If you come to the event, we're going to teach you how to make money. It's 3 full days, a Friday, a Saturday, and Sunday, step by step of everything you need to know in the real estate business. You'll come out of there knowing what you need to know to become a millionaire. That's what you're going to come out of there with. You're going to come out of there with the knowledge you need to have to become wealthy in many ways. Now, here's the number. It's 1,697. The dates, total immersion on April 6th, 7th, and 8th, 2018, all 3 days. Here's the location, but I think this is the single most important thing. I have an ironclad guarantee. You come to the workshop for the first day. It's not far. You're not going to have to get on a plane or anything like that. You drive to where we're going to go. It's going to be in Greenville, South Carolina. Clemson, South Carolina. At the end of the first day, if you don't agree that we over-deliver, I'll cut you a check in full, your full money back. If you're not absolutely, totally blown away with the most concise, clear vision to get to the finish line, we'll give you back your money. That's it in a nutshell. Here is the price, and there is the link. Do yourself a favor. This is a new year. You're at the beginning of the next year, the first year of the rest of your life. I can help you get out of the rat race. I can help you help yourself. I've always said the same thing. Everything in life is cause and effect. If you come in neutral, learn in a positive way, in a positive direction. If you learn to strive in a positive way, if you learn to be harmonious in all your dealings, and first and foremost, learn to love yourself, to tell yourself the truth, because I can't sell this to you. You have to know deep down in your heart where you are. You have to know, number one. Number two, and if you're true to yourself and you think that this is what you need to do to be better for the rest of your life, now's the time. That's it. That's the bottom line. Now is your time. And again, the ironclad guarantee is, if I can't do it, I'll give you your money back. Keep everything I gave you, and we'll shake hands, and we're good, because I need you to be better, because I trust myself, and I want you to trust yourself. That's it. That's all I got. Now, more questions.
Well, there is one more thing, Tom. You forgot to mention. If you're one of our RIA members, you get $200 off that price.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. I forgot.
I just reminded you.
Oh, thank you.
And when they go to that link, it'll ask them if you're a member or not, and it'll take the $200 off automatically. So just want to give you guys a heads up. Now, since you're talking about training, Adam had wrote in and asked, what's the benefit of you, Tom, doing this seminar and offering these 3-day trainings and teaching other people to do what you do? What's the benefit to you?
The benefit to me is twofold. First of all, I sent out an email today where I said I'm going to work for another 43 months. And at the end of the 43 months, I'm done. I put that out so everybody knows that. But the first benefit is this. There are some people that need my help. They say, I had a lot of money. I inherited a lot of money. Oh, or like Brad, I have a guy named Brad who's been in a family business. The family business is 135 years old. The man was ready to move on. It was the upholstery business. He hated it from when he was 13. And he came to me and said, I need to replace X number of income. I said, okay, great. And I worked with him one-on-one as a personal mentor. That's one thing. But more importantly, what happens if, like Rick, another guy that lives in Colombia, really bought well, got 19 deeds. He couldn't afford them. He couldn't fix them. He called me up, a student. And what happens is he says, I got stuff I need to get rid of. I don't have enough money to pay for all of these, the second year taxes that you have to pay for at the end of the 1 year. And I said, Rick, how much do you want for each of them? He says, well, I want the taxes and $5,000. I said, how many do you want to get rid of? He said 10. That was $75,000. For $75,000, he gave me 10 houses, which is $100,000 raise a year. I was the most thankful guy because he knew to pick up the phone and call me. That's what I'm looking for. The student in one of these videos here, in one of these slides there, had something and she says, I only got one in this town. I don't have the time nor the energy to go there. Do me a favor. I'm into it for a couple of $100. Give me $7,500. Sure. I turned it over for $38,000. I put like another 8 into it. I made 20,000 on it or something. But at the end of the day, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for overflow. And somebody on this call is going to have overflow. There's no question. Once I teach you,
Yep.
you're going to kick ass. And I'll
So
be
the short answer. The short answer is he's looking to do more deals with his students.
Yeah.
And several people did write in when you said that you will sell people your tax deeds and tax liens and vice versa. How to get a hold of you? How do they get a hold of you?
Well, they get a hold of me through you, of course. But what happens is I have a 21 auction schedule for 2018. And I go in, and it depends on how many I buy at a specific auction. And what I do is I sell them in packages. So I'll sell them in packages of 10. So if the liens cost me $12,000, you got traveling expenses, this, that, and the other thing, and a little bit of interest, and I flip them out for a couple of grand above what I paid for them. But what did I buy? What I'm buying is dead people, because I love me some dead people, and vacant places that need repair in the right zip codes. So I get paid for doing that. I'm buying for me, I'm buying for you, and I'm buying for somebody else. And that's what we do. Some are 2 years, some are 3, some are 2 years, some are 1 year, and they're all in locations that I want to own it. I never go and buy stuff where I don't want to own.
All right, I got a few more questions that came in here. I did cut everybody off a little bit earlier, but I'm gonna ask you a few of these last few questions. This was from McCamish. You mentioned that you go out and look at a lot of these properties.
All of them.
And their question was, all of them?
All
Every
of
single
them.
one? Do you ever buy them sight unseen?
Never. My money's too important. And more importantly, your money's too important.
Tell them why. You don't.
Here is the deal. When you look at when I go to Google and I look at a picture of a house, that's a picture at some point in time. But I'm only looking at one house. I need to digest the neighborhood to see if there's burnouts in the neighborhood. I want to buy the worst house in the neighborhood, number one. And number two, what happens if the house is burnt down? What happens if there's there could be things that I don't like. And I really, really am particular about my money and where it goes and how I spend it. And diligence, again, I'm neutral. I'm not negative. I'm neutral. And when I look, I'm buying. If it's when it's positive, my diligence is done. I know exactly what I'm looking at. I'm a buyer. And that's it.
All right. Hopefully you can provide a quick answer to these next two questions, which I'm combining into one question from Christina and Phil. They were asking specifically about Georgia. Is it a lien state? Is it a deed state? And when can they actually get the deed?
Here's the deal. It's a mixed state. It's a deed state that has a lien component to it. It's you go in, you buy the deed. You have rights to the house with the deed, but you have a 6-month period of redemption. Some areas you have a 1 year redemption. It depends on the location. So, it's both a deed and a lien state.
So even though you may own the property, have the deed, you may have to wait before you put too much money into it because you may have it redeemed.
Well, no, if you get paid 20% plus all your repairs because you take immediate possession, but somebody can come back and pay. That's the problem with a hybrid state. That is a problem with a hybrid state.
Okay, and the part two of their question was, when you do get that deed, what happens to all the previous liens in Georgia?
Again, it depends. The banks, if banks walk away in Georgia, you could be responsible if they were not notified properly. Georgia's a very funny state, and what I can do is, Dustin, I will send you a smart sheet on Georgia, because we buy in Alpharetta and we buy in Athens, and the laws in both that greater Atlanta is different actually than down in Athens. So I'll send you a smart sheet, and then you can distribute that, because it's not a simple answer.
Okay, and unfortunately, you guys just missed Tom. He was here a few weeks ago, did a full day workshop with us, and he will be back. Um, he's going to come speak at our beginning investor group. We don't have it officially booked yet, but it's something we talked about maybe in the next few months.
Okay, great. And
by the way, we just had that beginning investor group a few weeks ago. Had 110 people there, just so you know.
oh, great. That's a good
That's
number.
the one. That's the one that meets at the restaurant. You
Yeah, I
spoke
love
there
that
before.
restaurant.
Me too. It's a little dark, but we always have a really good time.
Yeah.
It's a great crowd.
Anyway, I hope people have come to the conclusion that it's a good idea to come. Again, the Ironclad guarantee, the $200 off. It's the week after Easter. It's before you need to pay taxes, and it's a really good idea to listen to the IRA stuff there that this guy comes up with. And I'm looking forward to seeing a couple of you there. I think it'd be strong if we showed up.
Speaking of seeing a couple of you there, how many people can attend this event for that price minus the $200 if they're a member?
If they're a member, I think we have room for 30.
No, what I
don't know.
mean is it good for couples? Is that per
Oh, no,
person?
wait. Yeah, I understand what you're asking. Here's the deal. You know better than anybody else, because you have a lovely wife, and my fiance came up to the one day. It's team effort. If you have a business partner, if you have a spouse, a son or daughter, they come for free. We're looking to train again for generational wealth. We're looking to train for people to be able to move forward. Come, it's free. The second person, no questions.
All right. And Quante asked, do you have a payment plan available?
Half and half.
All right, Quante, contact me about that because it's not available in that link on the screen. And I forget where you're from, Quante. You have to let me know. One gentleman said his wife is pregnant and is expecting about that time and can't make it. Are you going to be scheduling any more of these in the near future?
Yes, but I'm going to tell you something. If you have the ability to pay it now, because the $16.97 price is actually going to go up to $18.97 this year. Thus, you and I work together. I would never change the price on you, but I don't know what Corey's going to do when he has a link to us. So if he wants to link through you, I think it's a good idea. That's all I'm saying.
Yep. And
Save
his question,
$400.
I just looked up his question in more detail so I could read what it said. He couldn't make it because she's expecting about that time. He wanted to know if there's another way he could work with you, or if there's another workshop.
Sure. Quite frankly, there'll be another workshop in the future, number one. Number two, if you want to come and your wife wants to stay home for this one, I would write in, and I never do. We don't do it. We charge to come to a second meeting. This is a good question. If you want to come, talk to Dustin, and me and Dustin will talk. But come, and then come to a second one after you settle down, maybe even next year. But get started, get your traction together, and then bring your wife when the baby's a little bigger to the next one. And here's the other thing. You remember Angela Nurse? She's my buddy. Here's what's going on. Angela came to she's a Georgia resident. She came to an event, and she didn't feel she remembered everything. She called me up, and she came to my home in South Carolina, and I trained her for an additional 2 days because she felt she couldn't grasp it all. If you don't grasp it all, you guys are all close to me. I mean, you can come up, spend a day or two in a hotel, and I'll do it one-on-one for free if you feel you lost traction. That's after the calls. Every month you're going to get an hour call with me and an hour call with my business partner alone, just us, number one. And number two, you're going to get the 3 days. You're going to get the Focus Fridays. You get everything. If you don't, rare occasion, people don't get it all, you come personally and I will mentor you for free.
Hey, speaking of people coming to your home, you were here in Atlanta the other day for our main meeting, and two gentlemen came up and spoke to you. And both of them couldn't make the one-day workshop because they had like church commitments on Saturday.
Right.
And you invited them both up to carpool up to spend some time with you. Did they take you up on that?
A matter of fact, I put a call into them, and I haven't heard back from one of them yet. They're trying to coordinate with them amongst themselves.
Yep.
You can't.
But I thought that was really, really nice of you. They couldn't make the workshop, and you were having them up there like that. I was like, wow.
You want to know something? Here's the deal. It's about. I enjoy training. Number one, it's $25 billion worth of liens. I can't buy $25 billion worth of liens. It's $3 trillion worth of property. I wouldn't know what to do with a thousandth of that. So there's so much out there, and nobody's taking advantage of that. They'd much rather go spin their tires. These guys were pretty smart guys. That's the people on this call. They're on this call for an hour and a half, 2 hours. I mean, they're putting in time. I try to accommodate when you know you got the right people.
That's right. That's right. You've spent 2 hours with us, a little over 2 hours. We had a huge turnout tonight, probably a record night for us, and we still have well over 100 people on the webinar right now. 2 hours and 10 minutes later. So I really appreciate you being here tonight with us, Tom. Spending all this time with us, answering all these questions. If you guys want to come meet Tom in person, again, he's going to be at Charlotte RIA and Savannah RIA in March. We'll get him on the calendar for Charlotte later this year. He'll be at Tampa too soon, and we'll be back in Atlanta again. And we'll definitely be scheduling another 3-day event soon if you can't make the one coming up for whatever reason. And he also gave you a few workarounds to that, and mentioned you can get a payment plan if you want to contact us directly through our website. Instead of giving you all of our websites, I'm going to give you the Atlanta RIA one at atlantaria.com. Go to the contact us, and you can contact us through the website, no matter which of our RIA groups you're from, just to make it simple. If you get any questions about anything we've covered tonight, want to be able to get a hold of Tom, want to get a payment plan, want to get that smart sheet he was referring to, just let us know. Tom, you got any closing comments you want to make real quick before we wrap things up?
I think we're all good. I appreciate everybody's time. Have a great evening.
I appreciate everybody's time, and I appreciate your time. Like I said, this was a record night for our very first webinar of the year. So thank you, Tom, for being here. Thank you for spending so much time with us. I look forward to seeing you in one of these cities again real soon. I look forward to seeing everybody out there in webinar land at one of our meetings real soon. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Good night and God bless. We'll talk to you again real soon. You guys have a great night.
Bye now.